again, party people now taste that. This is the 808 bass test. Everybody be a freak in the room. Now pump up the bass with the 808 boom. Back once again, party people now taste that. This is the 808 bass test. Everybody be a freak in the room. Now pump up the bass with the 808 boom. 808 boom. 808 boom. 808 boom. 808 boom. 808. This is the 808 bass test.
What is good, guys? Welcome. I'm joined once again by my man across the, I was about to say across the pond, but you're not across the pond, Pablo. You're just from up north, anyway. So, yeah, thank you for joining me, Mr. Pabs. And we've got yet another game for ES Hub, Group F this time. And a bit of a blank canvas for us, guys, in terms of these rosters, but by no means going to be lacking in action, that's for sure.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. This is a bit of a new one on us. But it's always good to... hold on, I've got duality because I've gone on to Major's Twitch. Give me 2 seconds while I cut out the extra audio. It's freaking me out. But yeah, as you were saying, yeah, it's a bit of a new one on us. We've got 8 players. Well, I would say 6 because I think we've cast Hands and Splashy much earlier in the Call of Duty Cold War season. But with regards to everyone else, this is definitely a new group for us to cast. And yeah, I'm on the wrong channel. I haven't even gone to ES Hub because I'm an idiot.
Are you on my one?
Yeah, I'm on yours.
Oh, mate. So, yeah, guys, Group F1 for you this evening. Best of 5. And the control game mode, Pablo, has actually been released. We know that's the one we've got. We don't have it for this evening, so we're still going to be running that triple hard point. But regardless, we've actually got the confirmation of that third game mode now, so we can kind of we can start moving forwards really now, can't we?
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I'm not going to lie, I was a little disappointed that it was control. I do think it's something of a cop out from Sledgehammer that they've probably just copy and pasted from last year and then just tweaked it for their engine. But it would have been nice to see something else. But at the end of the day, we needed that alternate game mode sooner rather than later. So 100% glad to see it actually in there. But be nice to see it once it actually comes into the rotation and teams have had a little bit of practice with it.
Yeah, so this one's going to be straight in with the action, guys. Fortunately, we had a few technical difficulties just before we went live, so we are already lobbied up and pretty much ready to go into map number 1, which is going to be a Gafutu hardpoint, Pablo. So we've seen it a couple of times now, this map. What are your initial thoughts on it? It's a lot slower paced than the ones that we're used to with Tuscan and Bocage, but is it one that's starting to grow on you a little bit?
Yeah, a little bit, maybe. I don't know. I still think it's really difficult for teams to get like a solid control. I mean, we've seen the chaps last night from the good just dominate quite heavily, but they're in a superb side. But we've seen very good sides struggle to kind of maintain any dominance. So it's an odd map, to say the least, but it's slowly but surely growing on me.
Yeah, and best of 5 as per usual with these ones, guys. Our other maps will be a Tuscan Search, Bocage Hardpoint, so we will have one of those, Pablo, Tuscan Hardpoint as well, and then a Demiansk Search if it does go all the way to the Game 5. You mentioned we know kind of a little bit about what these Obsidian Black players are. Smoken Esports, obviously a blank canvas for us, but I suppose in some ways it's still something for us to look forward to, and I think the game lobby's just been chalked as soon as I was about to get ready to switch the screens, but
Yeah,
I don't know if it's chalked for you as well, but yeah, regardless, I believe they're French, aren't they? Smoken Esports, I think. Don't quote me on it. I could be incredibly wrong and insulting some people, but yeah, so obviously we had the Spanish yesterday, we got the French today. We know what Obsidian Black are like in terms of ability, so in terms of the table, actually, while we wait for the invites to come through once again, we do actually currently have it. So Smoken, they haven't played a game. Nobody currently, as it stands in this group, has played a game. So in terms of what we've got available to us in terms of information, it's pretty much a case of we'll be kind of feeling our way through the series, really. But I suppose this map 1 will be a good marker to see exactly where we're at, roughly, with these boys, at least.
Well, I mean, it's a tricky one because Gavatu is just it's such an odd map. I don't know, you might get a dominant performance from one team and then they might just go and get like swept backwards through that Tuscan Bocage kind of barrage that we're about to head into. But yeah, I think obviously just in terms of, we'll get an idea of gun skill, we'll get an idea of like basic map knowledge, and with names like Criquito and Nemo Poisson, I'm expecting big things from these boys. But yeah, Smoken Esports I think did have some players kind of knocking around some of the UK leagues last season, but I just don't know. I think they were very low AM, so it'd be interesting to see. We appear to be getting quite a wide range of capability in this ES hub. So yeah, this is probably, when you've got this kind of blank canvas, it's the most interesting as a caster.
Yeah, and Hans, I believe, was on. I think he was on Blue Formation. I think maybe with the likes of Tony at one point. So they were a very good roster last season. So it wouldn't surprise me here to see Obsidian Black at least know the fundamentals of the game. Obviously, like you mentioned, with these kind of leagues, you can get a bit of a mismatch of talent sometimes. But you would expect these boys of Obsidian Black to at least have that ground level of understanding of the game, given the previous rosters that we've seen these guys on before in terms of competitive Call of Duty.
Yeah, I mean, I would 100% expect them. I'm having a moment right now, Major. Let's just be serious for a minute. I would expect them to at least know this game very well, just because they've put so much time into the previous, so they've got an idea how to practice. But yeah, I mean, again, this blank canvas, we've never seen them play, so this could be super interesting. They could be like windy as hell. They could be really awesome. But we're gonna know for sure in the next 3 minutes.
Yeah, 100%, mate. And we are now in for map number 1, guys. So Smoken Esports. It looks as though one of the players has glitched out on my Codcaster, and I haven't actually got Scan.
Yeah,
I don't know. Have you got it as well?
No, I haven't. I think it's about to come. Scan is about to happen, so we might just need. We might need to just try the one Codcaster and see how that goes.
Yeah. All right, mate. Well, we can still. There's other work around anyway. So apologies, guys. We've got Game 3 mode confirmed, but we've still got the same issues in Codcaster, unfortunately for us. So we'll try and get that sorted out as soon as possible. But actually, a reference to our game yesterday, Pablo, when we saw Lucky's lads in the good play yesterday. There's some other good teams ticking around that we're used to, some other ones that we're not used to. So is that an area of this ES hub where we've got such a variety of talent? It's almost, you go into quite a few of the games and you almost don't really know what to expect in terms of you could have a pasting, you could have a close series, or you could have a bit of both. I suppose it's one of those where for us and as neutrals, every game's pretty much exciting to go into, isn't it?
Yeah, I think this is like unique to that UK mindset. So like you get like a lot of countries that just want their kind of skill-based matchmaking to be as accurate as possible. So they very much will want to keep the best teams together. But we grew up on the FA Cup, and we want to see that those lowest level teams get a chance to play the highest level, just so we can see an upset, or just so we can maybe see just how good the higher level are. Everyone loves a good like 8-0 route, so we do like to see the occasional like absolute slap, but we also do like to see the upset, and just to see that little player just drop a 50 on like a top player, and there we go, scan and repair just finally come in, just really slow on the scan and repair.
I had to think about it that time, which isn't useful. But actually, something I wanted to talk to you about, Pablo, I don't know if you saw the clips of Control on Twitter earlier today. Obviously the game mode's been confirmed, but as we kind of anticipated from various clips, I don't know if you've seen the one with Simp and Celium, where they are literally just repeating.
Is this Bocage?
Yes.
Is this on Bocage?
Yeah, where they are just walking. So our initial worries of, great, we've got the third game mode, but it's gonna be very unpolished. It's gonna be very raw, and there's probably gonna be a lot of issues with it. So what are your thoughts, kind of going into that? Because we've got the Challengers Cups coming up soon as well. So there's some important tournaments for these guys to be participating in. Obviously, pro points are now starting to roll out as well. So we've got the game mode, but at the same time, it's far from the end product that we're still kind of hoping for.
Well, yeah, the distance between a polished product and where we are right now is the difference between a diamond and a polished turd. It's really bad. Like you've got, it almost feels like they've copy and pasted across from Cold War, and then just tried to apply it to these incredibly small, fast maps, which are a complete like juxtaposition to what Cold War was. And you've seen it. Bakaj gets a heady and then control the whole map, and you've got players with the accuracy and you know, the predictive ability of the likes of Celium and Obsidian, Simp, and that. Then yeah, it's not going to be fun. And then if you transfer that over to our AM scene and you get, you know, the likes of last night's team, Metals, Journey, and Lucky, you and Real, oh my days, and Real, what am I doing forgetting him? It's gonna be horrible for a little while. So expect the Twitter timeline to be, you know, quite negative for a little bit, but you know, they've got a whole year to try and get it right, and we know they just don't care about rushing it. So at some point in the season, it's going to be good, but it's just, when is that point going to be?
Yeah, and with squad spawns being in this Call of Duty as well, I mean, we've seen how rogue some of the spawns can be in the was it the alpha? I think it might have been the alpha or the beta. I can't remember which one it was, but like, I'm just relieved. Part of me is relieved it's not Patrol, because that game was a bit of a mess when that came out. Obviously, Control is one that we're used to, so I think they'll know how to tweak it. But these early stages, I think we're going to be tiptoeing around a lot of questionable spawns and moments in games where teams might even not literally be able to spawn in and move at stages, at least until we get another update. Obviously, with the new Warzone that came out, there has been an update, but whether or not they've tweaked or will tweak Control soon. I mean, we get all the nice stuff with the flashy guns, that's all well and good, but in terms of competitive Call of Duty, the delay sometimes for the changes to come to the forefront can be a bit frustrating sometimes, can't they?
Well, we know from, you know, experience that the £7.50 skin that is as plain as anything, that's got absolutely no kind of design to it, is the priority, and the actual game mechanic that makes people want to play and stay is definitely seems to be at the back of the developer's mind. And it's just a shame that you know, people do seem to feel like it's almost like, you know, they're trying to do away with comp to an extent, because obviously there's not a great deal of money in it compared to just selling maybe multiplayer or Warzone or whatever to the general public. But I think they've misinterpreted just the kind of influence that the competitive scene has as a whole on not just Call of Duty and it's like the people who would normally buy it, but FPS in general. You know, I think they've completely they've kind of underestimated the kind of buying power that's there for the competitive scene. I think if they do drop it, like it's gonna, you know, cause problems for the whole of Call of Duty and Warzone going forward. Just because Battle Royale is so far removed from that quick competitive element that a 4v4 gives you. There's nothing like it. So, you know, outside of everyone jumping over to Halo, which has got its own problems, I don't know. It's so weird.
Yeah. So it looks as though, guys, the players, they are continuing playing map 1. So unfortunately, because of Codcaster glitches, once again, we're not going to be able to keep an eye on map 1, which is a bit of a shame. So that Gavutu hardpoint will be continuing for the next maybe 5 or so minutes while those guys round that one up, and then hopefully we can jump on board with map number 2, and obviously we'll get the score confirmations from the players as and when they finish that first map. And as we mentioned before, Pablo, with a clean slate with the Smoken Esports guys, we don't really know what to expect. But if one team comes out and pastes the other team, are you going to go with the assumption that it might be another potential 3-0? We've seen a few of them, obviously, when we casted the Vitalized lads, when they got a foothold in map 1 and it was quite significantly one-sided. It genuinely turned out to be a 3-0. Not to say teams can't have iffy maps or be slow to start, but if we see a very, very one-sided first map here, would you anticipate potentially that we would see a bit of a battering on one end potentially?
I suppose it depends how it goes down. I mean, it's difficult sometimes. A slap isn't always like a 100-point club or even worse. Sometimes it's just that inability to ever get control of the map. So the difference at the end of the game might be 80 points or 70 points, but from the outset you just may never have ever been able to get into it. And especially if a team plays that kind of 40-20 strategy, where they're always going to have kind of like 30 or 40 seconds on the other team. if we see like a 250 to 10 points, I think we're going to see a 3-0. But Gavatu, as we've seen before, is a really odd map. So I don't know. It's a weird one. I don't know if it's going to be able to be a portent of doom, depending on the score. But I think obviously as we head straight into Tuscan S&D, that will give us a better idea of which teams have got good map knowledge, which teams push to headies quicker and stuff. So Gavatu, I think, is the kind of like too much of an oddball map right now to be an indicator outside of it just being a disgusting slap.
Yeah, and moving back to those controls, Pablo, obviously the maps we've got currently, is there a particular map that you'd be worried about if we saw it in a map set? Because I think Berlin as a control map again will probably be decent in terms of spacing and general map size, but with Bocage, for example, I mean, you've got, 20 meters between probably what could be the furthest points for an A and a B site. If they're sitting somewhere in a neutral zone, I can't really see a map like that really working on control. I'm not sure if you can.
No, I think control obviously lends itself to having a bit of width between the 2 points. So Berlin, obviously, potentially Demyansk and potentially Desert Siege being probably more sensible options for control points. The other maps, might be like Tuscan, but then you've got to think that the control points would potentially be where the bomb sites are, or maybe not a bomb site. That would probably be further over to the left towards the edge of the map. But then they're very enclosed spaces, so control points you usually want like some line of sight. So I'd probably go down the road of Demyansk potentially, especially when you've got that huge width between that ice side, and then you can go into the forest side at the right hand side of the church, and then obviously Desert Siege, because I think it's got that kind of width as well, and it's obviously quite a long map. So I think you're probably more looking at those three maps potentially to be a control. But we're trying to talk sensibly. I mean, what could happen is it could end up being, Bocage, and it could end up being really, really kind of like quite close maps, and I don't know. You don't know what's going through the mind of the developer or the mind of whoever makes the rules, because we've seen some wild choices so far.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned Demyansk. A lot of the pros and players, even at AM level, they've complained quite a lot about it in terms of the issues that map has, and I think one of them probably is the fact that there doesn't seem to be a middle of the map. You've got an area of just open land where you just get shot anywhere. You've got obviously the top of church where people just stare down at people and just rack up kills. So like, as you mentioned, although it might work in terms of width, that middle of the map, you're just a sitting duck, it feels like, all the time. And generally as a map as a whole, there seems to be quite a lot of flaws in it, I think, is the best way.
It's poorly designed. I mean, you only have to break down the fact that one side is elevated right and can see right across to the other side, so that immediately brings like a tactical advantage to the other team, and that's why good players want to get to that elevated position. We see this a little bit in Gavatu with the boat in the middle. You see, especially on that middle hill, but also on P5, players wanting to get to top boat as quickly as possible in order to control the map a little bit more, and that again is the problem with Demyansk. Oddly, you've got probably even more elevation within Desert Siege, but you don't see that happening as much because of where the actual hills are. So yeah, I think Demyansk is just a poorly designed map, and as much as they've tried, it's got 2 lanes essentially and a killing field in the middle, or a killing river in the middle. So yeah, it's a weird one, and I would hope it wasn't picked, and would hope it comes out of rotation. But the problem is we're making our maps, our pool of maps, so much smaller, and it just doesn't appear to be a viable option to just plop straight in. People have talked about Dome, but I think that would be a horrific comp map. So, and Castle, and again, I think that's it's the closest possible map to a comp map, but again, I think S&D, it just lends itself to one bomb site. You don't even see teams transitioning to that kind of far A site, and as a hardpoint map, it's another wild AR map. So it's, again, what map do you pop in if you're going to take Demyansk out? So I mean, I don't like it if you start on the kind of blue side. It's a weird one. I don't even know where to begin, mate. This is the first Call of Duty in a long time where I don't think we can pick 5 maps that the majority of the community would agree on.
Yeah, and we do actually have the score for map 1, Pablo. So it's 250 to 207 to Smoken Esports, actually. So I'll just update that while we go. So it looks as though they're going to be a solid side here, Smoken, because so we know what Obsidian Black are about. They're 1-0 up now, and they're already looking to hit that regain button, really. We talk about it all the time, but map 1, you've got to focus up and try not to lose full going into search when you're starting to trail, potentially.
Yeah, absolutely. But again, Gavatu's such a weird map, 250 to 207. We don't know, obviously, whether they took the lead early on and just held on. We don't know whether there's been a turnaround in the middle of the game. We don't know whether they fell off towards the end. So still a lot of questions to be asked. But yeah, definitely looking like Smoken Esports know what they're doing. And Gavatu's such a weird map that it's possibly a portent that they're going to be very comfortable going into 2 of the most popular maps in 2 of the most practiced game modes.
Yeah, so Tuscan search for map number 2. We spoke about it before as well, Pablo, with the pacing of the game in Search and Destroy. I think it's quite good for pacing in terms of search. Cold War, we had like issues where some of the maps weren't really playable on Search or on Checkmate. But to be fair, with the map pool that we've got, there are quite a few maps where the pacing matches Search and Destroy quite well on Vanguard.
Berlin is probably a prime example. I think it's the most Cold War-esque map. I mean, I guarantee right now, given the option, people would absolutely take a Checkmate S&D. Might never see A Street ever again, but they would probably take it as a map option right now. I would say Berlin is probably closest to Moscow as possible in terms of map size and the kind of layout. Again, I think it probably utilizes the geography a little bit better than Moscow did, because Moscow was a large map, but the bomb sites were in quite a tight geography compared to previous S&Ds. But yeah, I mean, Berlin again is shaping up to be a really good S&D and a really good hardpoint, because it's the only hardpoint where really the ARs get a chance to outshine the SMGs.
Yeah, it's weird though how. Because when Berlin first came out, I remember a lot of people kind of, not complaining about it, but they didn't really like it that much. But as we're starting to get through it and see more reps on it, it's definitely a map that's growing on me, I would say, in terms of just I think it's just because we've become so accustomed to watching rapid maps all the time. It's a pleasant change of scenery to have a map where it's not just aggression. There has to be some sort of tactical substance to it as well.
Yeah. Yeah, so it totally doesn't just. I mean, we've seen it with some of the more cracked SMGs. They, unless they're part of an exceptionally good team, they just struggle a little bit more than they say did on Bocage or whatever, which is obvious. But Berlin's it's just a well-designed map. The elevation is equal on both sides. You have almost the same space at both ends of the map. So yeah, it's really, really good.
Oh,
but oh man,
something with this update has ruined Codcast. Apologies, guys. This is Vanguard in a nutshell. I don't even know if we're going to get through this at this rate, because it is every single time. It was bad enough before, but since this update, I mean, I had a feeling something was going to go wrong when I noticed 2 players' names with zeros on them. So I don't really know if this is even feasible at this point, to be honest, Paolo, because we've had 2 games now where we can't even get the game started. So I'm not quite sure how this one's going to go, unfortunately. But
yeah, and I'm obviously with the outage for our kind of remote viewer, I'm having trouble actually seeing the mini map when it comes to using Discord. So it's really blurry. So my dubious analysis would be even more dubious, because I don't think I'll be able to read any of the names. So it'll be like, red triangle seems to have done well there. But yeah, it's definitely proven to be a bit of a damn squid this evening. The update seems to have killed things. I did send them a message which roundly got ignored, which isn't that surprising. But yeah, I was like, is Codcats the fixed? Have you removed our holy hand grenades yet? Are the team names the right way round? Can 2 Codcasters get into a lobby where there's space for potentially 4 Codcasters? What is going on? But yeah, this doesn't bode well for the weekend if you are challenger kind of team. And again, if you're part of the Challenger production team, this does not bode well for the weekend at all.
For us as part of it, it's there you go. I don't know if you could hear the noise, but the scan repair has popped up again. So I think it's kind of reached a stage, guys. Apologies. I think we're going to have to chalk this one because Codcast is not even feasible at this point. It seems we can't seem to even get the game going without scan and repair. Normally it's it was hit and miss before. We had it a couple of times before, didn't we, Pablo? But now it's borderline unplayable to the point where we can't even get in the map now without some sort of glitch and instant scan and repair. So unfortunately, guys, I do apologise if you have been patient and tried to wait throughout this one for us. I'm sure the boys of ES Hub will tweet out the result as and when we get it. Obviously, myself and Pablo will also like and retweet. So you guys, if you are following both teams or either one of them, you'll be able to find out the score as soon as possible. But unfortunately, with the way Codcaster in the game is at the moment, from what has gone from a difficult experience of using Codcaster has now pretty much become impossible, it seems. So without wasting any more of your guys' time and tuning in, we are going to unfortunately have to end the stream. So apologies to anyone who has stayed in and tuned in, hoping to see some Call of Duty as much as we've wanted to. It looks as though tonight just isn't going to happen. We'll keep trialing it and see how it works going forwards. But I mean, unless we get an update through Sharpish, like you mentioned, the Challenger stream is going to be pretty difficult.
Yeah, I think unless there's a change, an update, because one thing that does concern me is it doesn't even appear like they're paying any attention to the problems with Codcaster. I mean, I'm going to have a massive guess that I've messaged them a few times, and people with way more influence than I'll ever have definitely been in touch, and Codcaster hasn't even been in touch. So it doesn't bode well, and it's a bit of a concern because, you know, that's our kind of eye into the world of Call of Duty right there. But really, and entirely my purpose for streaming.
Yeah, mate, you and me both. This is what we enjoy doing. It's Codcasting, and the whole mechanic part doesn't even work. So I don't know. I mean, yeah. Anyways, guys, we won't waste any more of your time. We'll keep it short and sweet. And until something gets resolved, we'll have to probably steer clear for the time being. But as mentioned, ES Hub there will always be tweeting out the games, the results, just to keep you guys updated. If we cannot Codcast them, we'll obviously try and look into potentially seeing if there's a workaround again. At this point in time, it's looking like we might have to wait for another update if it keeps doing it like this. But it's looking as though it's not feasible at the moment, at least. Go on, Pablo, you were going to say something?
Yeah, I'm just going to message the guys to let them know that because they keep sending invites.
Yeah, so we need to send them a message. Oh, he said. Oh,
yeah.
What's it? I'll ask him. Yeah, I'll just say it's not. Apologies, guys. Just let the players know. Because obviously we speak to them about when we cast the games, and obviously they have to invite us in and stuff. But yeah, we're going to have to call it, guys. I don't think there's really a way we can recover it at this point until this gets fixed. So a big thanks again for everyone who has tuned in. We will tweet out that result between Smoken. I believe the boys of Obsidian Black, they were actually 2-0 up in the search, and they got their game crashed. So it wasn't just us as casters. The game, it looks as though for players as well, is incredibly buggy, if not more than it was before. So yeah, apologies, guys. That will be it from us, unfortunately, this evening, without even getting a shot fired, unfortunately. But yeah, big thanks to everyone who has tuned in. Hopefully we'll be back sooner rather than later when this all gets ironed out. But until then, guys, thank you for tuning in once again, and we will see you again, hopefully, fingers crossed, sooner rather than later. So thanks again, guys. We'll catch you then.
Take care.